Everybody, and welcome back. Finally, we're back after about a month layoff for some new Brooks News Baseball headquarters, pretty much across the country. No longer based in Texas. We're based on the East Coast and had some internet issues and some other things, but we are back. And also, we're over 100 subscribers. Our goal is to get to 100 by the World Series. We made it by the Championship Series. So, what do you think? 115 by the World Series? What do you want?
Absolutely.
Let's
By
get
the beginning
150.
of next season, I like to have 250.
No, bump it up 300. Let's get 300 because I want to make better. We're going to make more of those documentary videos like the Orioles, which probably has near 10,000 views right now, which is crazy to me. We're driving some good traffic here. Even, like I said, even we're off and made some terrible video up where I was isolated off the grid pretty much. Internet's good now. Everything's good. We're back. We're going to drop 2 videos this week. First one's going to be about the NL, AL, CS predictions, everything like that. Next video, what do you think? What are you going to do the next video? We're talking
I'd
about.
like to go over all the postseason award predictions, maybe.
Yeah, we'll do that. And Monday, Tuesday, be sure to watch it. Set your notifications, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel like 100 other people already have. At least 100 other people. I haven't checked in about 2 days. But without further ado, BF John, let's take a look here first at the National League Championship Series. Let's talk about how these teams got there first. Do you think it's
Well,
fair?
can I
Throw
say
that
something
out there.
before we even get started?
I was going to say, do you think it's fair how the playoffs go?
Well, I mean, it's sour, taste in my mouth. It left a sour taste in my mouth because I won't tell you who I like, but they were one of 3 teams that had over 100 wins. I thought in the old days you played 162 games to weed out all the pretenders. See, when you let all these teams in, someone could get hot for a week or two, but really they're not better than Atlanta, LA, and
Baltimore.
Baltimore. I mean, you take most of these teams in right now. I wouldn't take their team over one of those 3 teams.
Rangers, yeah, I probably would take the Rangers.
But
Rangers are
they're
so
just hot
stacked.
right now because
They're
they're
so.
for about the last month they weren't hot at all.
But I'm just saying they
They
are
could,
like they're so stacked
yeah,
everywhere.
but
It's
I'm
just
just
that
saying.
that's the team though. If everything's working, they're. If
Now,
Corey Seager didn't get hurt, I think if Young and Seager didn't get hurt this year, they would have had probably 100 wins.
Oh, absolutely, and the reason they're as good as they are is one
Yep.
man, Bruce
Bosch, no, I
Bochy.
don't remember. If you
Yep,
notice
Bruce
when they're
Bochy. Hey,
losing,
they
no,
had
no,
Seager
I
and
agree. Bochy's great.
they had Seager and Marcus Semien and Heim and all those guys last year, and Young at
Duran,
the end, and they weren't even 500 team, I don't think. But you get Bochy, but we kind of figured that, and then before the playoffs, me and you were talking. I told you, you go, well, the Orioles probably beat them. I said, you're forgetting Bruce Bochy, man. The dude knows how to
you don't
win.
think Tarleton's a good manager?
I think Hyde's the manager of the year in the American League. I think Hyde, regardless, I watch
He
all the
should be.
Orioles games, and regardless of what you're going to question some of the decisions of the manager of the team you watch a lot, the most, and I did, and I just he did a hell of a job with the pitching staff he had.
You can't. So I question him a lot, and I think if they were to get somebody, Boshi wouldn't have come here this year because they weren't any good. You didn't expect them to be as good as they were. Had
Yeah,
they,
but go back to our first or second, third show, whatever we did predictions. We did.
I projected them to go to the. I projected them losing the playoffs for the Rangers. I just had them in the ALCS. But speaking of our projections, we're pretty damn close. The only one we got wrong is the Yankees. Every other team that
Well,
made it.
I figured Atlanta would got to the World
Because
Series.
I said instead of the Tampa, I put the Yankees. So we're wrong on Tampa. I was wrong on Tampa. I'll say that. But the Orioles, we said everyone said they'd regress. We said you can check our videos, the ones that have 12 views on them early on before spring training started. We said the Orioles would make the playoffs. Maybe a bit, a little
Absolutely.
bit of a homer. I also said the Twins would make the playoffs. You did not think the Twins would make the playoffs.
I
I
don't think much of the Twins
I
organization
think
anymore.
that a lot of that pitching staff.
Yeah.
Joe Ryan's a stud. Sonny Gray did great.
Ryan
Um,
didn't pitch much this year either, so
no, didn't Balazovic have a decent? I mean, he didn't pitch much, but better
I think
than
he's
what
bullpen now. Yeah, he did all right. Last I
he
checked.
can bring it. I like him. He's a good guy. Royce Lewis, I think, broke out really good. He's finally healthy.
That was
I'm
great. That
hoping
was great to see.
he's a really, really, really good guy. You can see Twins. and Twins here. But Royce Lewis is always a very, very nice guy to talk to, and he's just one of those guys. I think he hit like 6 grand slams this year. Great for him. I'm happy for him finally coming through. Hopefully, he stays healthy. If they can stay healthy, well, Buxton won't.
Well,
I mean, you can't say Buxton because Buxton's never played more than 92
well,
games
hey,
ever.
they could go out and get what they need because they'll spend the money. They prove
Yeah,
that.
they always have. Just like when they got
Um,
Donaldson and what.
Resign Correa.
That's right. And Buxton, for whatever reason, I don't know why they should not have given Buxton that deal. Buxton is
What is
he
Buxton? He's like a lifetime 235, 240 hitter,
he
but
barely
yet,
hit 200 this year.
yeah,
So
and he's never healthy, and they couldn't even play him in the field because they're afraid
he had
he's so
in
brittle.
2020, the shortened year, he went off right before his contract was up. They played 60 games. That's right along. He even got hurt that year, but that's right along with what he plays. 60 games, 60 to 90 games. He never played more than that. Which brings
His
me to another
numbers are
point.
not impressive.
No, no, he's a good field.
I
Well, he don't even play the field anymore. You can't even
but
say he's probably realistically. I like Byron Buxton, and I like the Twins organization a lot, but he's probably one of the worst players in baseball just because he doesn't play the field at all. So he's a DH hitting 200 with
right, and when you
hitting
talk
20
about
home runs.
predictions, I think we threw the Yankees in there because although we know it's a lot of hype and blowhard bull
It's like
crap
the
about
Cardinals,
them
man.
every
They're just always there.
like I've just read an article now. They're bragging on Volpe, the 215, 218 hitter, how great he is. Okay, who would you rather take at shortstop, Gunnar Henderson or Volpe?
Gunnar Henderson is one of the best players in baseball. Not just the best
He'll
rookie, one of the best players in baseball. Gunnar Henderson is going to be MVP candidate next year, going forward for the
for
next
the next 15
8 to 9 years.
years.
He
That's
is a
right.
super, super, superstar. I think he's.
He's
What did he end up hitting? 250 something this year.
yeah, but just like 258, I think. But hey, in the playoffs, he batted 500.
Look what he hit. He hit 500 in the playoffs. Look what he hit from All Star break on.
I
So
know,
I
and
think
his
next year
fielding.
he's going to be about a 290 hitter and hit about 40 home runs.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
it's
thinking.
just like he said early on in the year when he hit some home runs. He said, "Hey, I don't even have my man strength yet,"
He's
and
young.
he's right. He's
The
20. Just
Orioles. So
yeah,
the scary
they're,
thing about the Orioles and the AL is
they're
now
young.
and they got the best prospects in baseball, the best farm system. And opening day next year, they're going to have a 19-year-old Jackson Holiday on the starting roster. And if he's
I
not,
disagree. I don't think he's going to make it because he struggled at AAA a little bit.
what if he
I
hits
think he'll
500 in
start
spring
there.
training?
I
He
think he'll
shouldn't start.
start there.
If he starts here, it's only because they're screwing with his time. That's ridiculous. He's the minor league player of the year. He went from low A to triple A, and he kicked ass at every step of the way.
I got to
He's that
see him
kind of
play
guy.
a few
He will
times in
adapt.
person.
He needs to start day one. And if they don't, that means who are they going to start? Are they going to keep
Uh,
Mateo? Are they going to keep Jorge Mateo?
they got Ortiz,
No,
who
no,
hit
no,
better
no.
than Jackson at AAA. Is
Who would
probably
you?
a better fielder.
Joe Ortiz is what 24,
Yeah,
23.
but he's an old man, right?
He's 5 years old. He's
Okay, yeah, but
5 years.
they leave him down there because they need to get rid of Mateo and keep you. Well, we're not talking about the Orioles now. We'll get
I
into
know.
that in all season. Let's
We
get back to
will
the
get into
playoffs.
that. That'll be fun. We'll go to the breakdowns again, 30 for 30. We'll spread it out in the offseason. We'll do complete breakdowns of every team, which is something really cool. Which is kind of sad to think about. I'm just thinking about it now. We
I'm
started
already
this.
depressed because my
Oh,
teams are out. Everybody I pull for is out. I mean, except for Texas, and I don't mind Houston. Well, I don't mind any of the teams in there. I'm not a big Philly fan, but I do love Bryce Harper and Trey Turner, two of my
this is what I'm
favorite
thinking
players of
about
all
it.
time.
I can remember the day you and I had this conversation start Brooks Knows Baseball in the off season. I remember I was walking my son in the neighborhood where I was living at the time, and we're having a conversation and we're talking, just shooting shit about baseball. I was like, why don't we just start filming it? And now we have not much, 100 people watching us. Is pretty cool. I have some contacts in Major League Baseball, and I'm going to reach out to a player, a Gold Glove winning player, current player, see if he
Yeah,
can come
that'd
on the
be
show for
great.
us.
Well,
I,
also, we'll talk about that off there too. About you could get some front office people, scouts with one major organization possibly. But anyway, we'll go to
I'll
that
share a
later.
list with him. Yeah, but let's talk about the standings real quick at everything finished here. So, because I know it's been a while, but the playoffs here with the American League East, the Orioles had 101 wins, 16 losses. Fantastic year for them. Big letdown in the playoffs. The pitching staff imploded. Grayson Rodriguez was nowhere to find. Bradish did good. Rodriguez and
Fair.
Kramer, horrible.
Kramer may have had some personal issues going on there,
Yeah, I
with
don't
the
think
situation.
Kramer. I could see him not being back next year. I really could.
Well, we'll get him that later, but
With the Tampa Bay Rays, 99 wins, 63 losses.
That's what I mean. All those teams got knocked out in the first round. They were in the playoffs.
Then you got the Minnesota Twins, 87 wins. The Blue Jays made it, 89 wins. The Twins made it, won a playoff series. Finally, after losing 18 games in a row. It's just because they didn't play the Yankees. If they played the Yankees, they would have lost them. Astros ended up winning the division, same record as the Rangers at 90 and 72. Now they're playing each other for the trip to go to the World Series. One thing I noticed, you know how the Orioles, the Rays, and some other teams play like they're tight on their money?
Yeah.
Two of the top four teams that spend the most money are in the World Series. Going to go to the World Series: Phillies and Rangers.
Let me say this: when at the time of the trade deadline, Baltimore the general manager, he gets the players developed. He drafts good. His trades are terrible. What were you telling me? Cole Irvin they traded, who wasn't even on a playoff roster. Fuji wasn't on a playoff roster. Jack Flaherty. That was a joke. We knew that was a joke. They did nothing to help themselves at the trade deadline except stockpile, just keep their prospects. I mean, how many shortstops do they think they can play at one time? Because they got a bunch of catchers. How many infielders?
I don't like Jack Flaherty for a multitude of reasons. I just do not like that.
I'd love the guy if he performed. He did not perform.
So he pitched horrible. So he pitched 7 games, started 7 games.
They had like a 7 or 8 ERA.
His ERA was 6.7 in 34 innings. His WHIP was 1.6.
He was a joke, and we gave up a little bit.
26 runs in 34 innings. Awful.
So I blame third fall on a general manager 100%.
Yeah.
He could have helped that team, and he didn't.
Yep.
There were some clear needs. We knew what they were. Everybody else knew. Every show in the world, every podcast said the same thing we did. Everybody knew it except Elias.
At least they won the International League Championship.
Because I don't think there's a player out there, any good player that got traded, we couldn't have got. Because we have more talent to offer. And that's their reason. Let's go to other teams. The Dodgers.
Let's take a look at the NLCS here, the rosters here. Let's go first at the biggest surprise, I think, in the playoffs at Arizona Diamondbacks. 84 wins. The Orioles had almost 20 more. Never mind. The Braves had 20 more wins in this team. Think of that.
Didn't they beat the Phillies by about 18 or 19 games in the division this year?
14. So, where did the Diamondbacks have it? Like, what superstar? Like,
they get good pitching in Corbin Carroll.
What?
Good pitching.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said Brandon or Corbin Burns. I don't know. So what? Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Fatt, Ryan Nelson, and Paul Sewald in the bullpen. They have Christian Walker, who's a very solid player.
2 years in a row, really good years.
Ketel Marte, who's decent.
Yeah.
Evan Longoria, who I thought retired. Gerardo Padoma. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Alec Thomas, Rookie of the Year Corbin Carroll, and professional amateur boxer Tommy Pham.
Yeah, there's a new video come out. He got into a discussion with fans, and I'm not going to get into that. I seen the video.
They have a chance against the Phillies. Speaking of star power, there's no question the Phillies have the star power, and it shouldn't be a contest because you look at star powers. Aaron Nola, right?
What's going to happen is, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. Trey Turner and Harper are going to take over, and they're going to win the World Series. Mark my words. Trey Turner's been there, done that. He was great. He's always great.
So they got Jose Alvarado and Craig Kimbrell. They got JT Realmuto, who's the best catcher nationally. They got Bryce Harper, who I think is a Hall of Famer already. I mean, he is a Hall of Famer.
Trey Turner,
there's no argument.
Hitter.
I watched the article yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago. They said, did he meet the hype that was attached to him when he was 16?
Harper?
Yeah.
He's already got 300-some home runs. He's 29 or is he 30 yet?
He's 30. But, I mean, if he could retire today, and I believe he would be a Hall of Famer.
He's a 2-time MVP winner. He's probably going to be MVP in this year's World Series.
He's one of the best hitters in playoff baseball history. His OPS is like 1.2. He's fantastic. I love Harper. People always want to say he's an asshole. They're jealous of him. It's like
we've seen from personal experience that's not true.
No. And then you got Bryson Stott. Alec Boehm, who's good. Trey Turner's a superstar who really got it going in the second half. Brandon Marsh is a solid player. Nick Castellanos shows up all the time. Kyle
Schwarber
Schwarber
does
will hit
a
one
lot
every
of power.
one every 9 at bats, but they're home run when he hits them. They're I don't realistically it should be a sweep, and it should be. I don't know if it
But hey,
will.
look how the playoffs went so far. Who would have thought these teams have been there?
I'm rooting for the Phillies this year. You know why? Because obviously we're Oriole fans. It's not a secret. However, do you remember during the voting for the All Star game, the Phillies tweeted out to get Adley Rutschman in, and the Orioles tweeted out to get Harper in. So they're trying to get the fans. And I can't believe I say I'm rooting for Philly, but I like Harper. I think that's the
I don't
reason.
mind the
I can't.
Phillies.
I
There's
wouldn't
only one
mind rooting for
baseball team I don't care.
Texas. I just can't root for Texas right now. I just can't. I
Why?
can't because they beat the Orioles, and I can't do it.
Well, I would like to see them do it because they are the Washington Senators. And notice
I'm
that.
rooting for the Phillies. That's who I'm going for, at least in the National League. And moving on to the American League, let's take a look. Speaking about star power, let's take a look at.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. You're gonna be shocked, but Houston's gonna win that.
I disagree. I
Well, good
disagree.
because you're wrong. But go ahead.
How am I wrong?
Because Houston's a better team. Been there, done that numerous times. Dusty's a good manager, just as good as Bochy. Nashville should never fired him, but anyway.
Hey, John Gray, Scherzer are going to be playing the ALCS. That's big. That's huge. So you take Scherzer, Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery, John Gray. You can get by with 4 stars in the playoffs.
Okay, you can take Verlander, Valdez, right
I'm just
there.
saying. Aroldis Chapman, Jose Leclerc, Jonah Heim, who you're not going to like this year the best catcher in baseball.
We agree to
100%.
disagree. No.
How? Seriously, how can you disagree on that?
Nope.
How?
Adley Rutschman's best American League catcher.
No.
Hands down. Who gets on base more? Who gets on base more? That leads to more runs. Who?
Jonah had 317 on base this year. He had 95 RBI.
I like seeing defensive metrics too because Rutschman blocks everything, man.
So
and you see people get steals against you. Always go, he can't throw anybody out. Well, it's not all the catcher's arm, and most times it's off the pitcher.
Jonah Heim, 124 games in catcher. His fielding percentage was 99.
Okay, and
you can't get any better than that.
No,
you can't.
And what was that?
He had 2 errors and 993 innings. He had 2.
I guarantee Rutschman's near that, if not the same.
Let's see. So 993 innings. Let's see Rutschman real quick.
Yeah, how many innings did he play?
Rutschman played
a lot more than that.
No, he played 934 at catcher. He played 60 innings less. You hear me? And had 6 errors.
I'm telling you, the eye test.
I mean, you can say the eye test. I just don't.
Okay, let me ask you this: if you could have either catcher right now for your team next year, who would be your catcher? Answer me that.
I said this year. Who was the best? I didn't say next year. I didn't say the year before. I don't know. Adley's regressed since his first year. Statistically, across the board, he's regressed. Everything.
Offensively, he hasn't.
Yes, he has.
He hit higher. His on-base percentage is...
His slugging went down. His OPS slightly went up. His OPS plus went down. And realistically, that's probably just because he had more games. It's just...
His power went up.
He is, to me... He was supposed to be an MVP type player, and he's not that. He's a very good catcher. I'm not saying take MVP, but he's not an MVP type guy. I don't think he ever will be.
I wouldn't take any catcher in baseball over him.
Except Jonah Heim. Anyway, let's move on here to the Rangers. Speaking of Jonah Heim, they got Nate Lowe, who
from Norfolk, Virginia originally. But go ahead.
He had a little bit of a down year considering I think he only had like 17 home runs, which is off.
He still drove in quite a bit, and he's still solid as heck. Then
you go to the
second base,
who I think is probably
he's one of the best all around at second.
Yeah, he's probably one of the bigger reasons that they're where they are.
He plays every day, man.
So you look at his numbers. A leadoff guy. He's a leadoff. I think he led off 162
talking
games
about this year though. He don't hit like Altuve. Yeah, Altuve is well over 300.
Before you talk, listen to me. Leadoff hitter, on base percentage 348, 100 RBIs as a leadoff hitter, 29 home runs, 276 hitter, gives you good defense. Then you take a look, go to the third base, who, again, to me, is a stud. If he didn't get hurt, he probably would have been the rookie of the year. And he was on
Best you
pace.
can say at third base is a wash at best because Bregman is a stud, a
We'll
star
get to
for
there.
year after
Josh
year.
Young, 266, 23 home runs, 70 RBIs, 315 on base percentage. Going to shortstop, there ain't no contest who's better at shortstop.
No, but you're missing one thing though. I agree, but the shortstop for Houston was MVP of the World Series last year. Move
Yeah, who
on.
would you rather have? Corey Seager at 327, 33 home runs, 96 RBIs, over
Oh, I
1.013
agree.
OPS. Unbelievable
I agree,
player.
but what
If he
that
was
says
healthy, if
about
he
our boy
played
Pena,
if he played
hey,
20 if he played 20 more
Pena steps
games,
up in the
he'd be
clutch, does
MVP.
he not? Huh?
Huh?
Pena steps up in the clutch. Now it's good to
Then
outfield.
outfield you got Adolis Garcia, who's good.
Okay, that's a wash because Tucker does what he does.
Leody Tavares, Evan Carter, and Travis Jankowski. You're an
Carter's a
unsung hero.
stud.
I'm telling you. And then Mitch
Carter's,
Garver. Mitch Garver's having a resurgence too.
he did have a good year.
So then you take the Astros roster,
That
pitcher.
falls in your managing say.
Who's better, Scherzer or Verlander? Who'd you take? That's a wash to
I
me.
think they're a wash. I always thought Verlander's a little bit better. You look at
Yeah.
their lifetime numbers, ERA, that basically they're pretty much similar, but the lifetime ERA, I know Verlander's higher than Scherzer.
And you go looking at the second pitcher here. Would you take Framber Valdez or
He's great.
Eovaldi? Eovaldi had a 3.6 ERA this year.
Yeah, but Eovaldi in the playoffs is lights out.
And he shut the Orioles down.
His
And
whole
then you go
career.
to third, you got Jordan Montgomery or Christian Javier. Who would you take? Now, Montgomery had a 3.2 ERA. Again, has been lights out in the playoffs. Who would you take?
That's kind of a wash again, but I like Montgomery. I think that's why the Orioles. I told you the deadline we could have had him, should have got him. They didn't do it. Texas did. They're in.
Then you look at their fourth starter, and this is with big asterisks on it.
And this is where Houston gets in trouble because
John
that's
Gray
it.
or Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown had an over 5 ERA this year.
Yeah,
John Gray had four, barely four.
Hunter Brown had moments, but he didn't have a good year, and he's a rookie. But
So I think there it's Rangers. I think Rangers have a more complete staff.
probably
Then you look at their bullpen here. Brian Abreu is good. Kendall Graveman's solid, but he's out, so he's not even playing. It's staying here. Ryan Presley's better than Aroldis Chapman. I give him that. Ryan Presley's very good. Catcher, not even close. Jonah Heim's better than Martin Maldonado.
offensively, there's no question. But there's a reason they keep Maldonado on that team year after year after year. When he hits 198 every year.
Then we go to first base. I didn't know this was the WBC. I mean, this looks like Dominican Republic team on the Astros here.
Houston, I know. Yeah, Abreu lit it up in the playoffs, did he not?
Yeah, but you look who would you?
His
Who
numbers
would you
were
take?
down his lowest of his career, I think, this year.
Way down, 237, 80 home runs. He still drove in 90. Think of
See,
this: 20 years ago, if a guy had 90 RBIs, he probably would have been in the top 5 or 10 in the league, right?
not
RBIs.
necessarily. It's pretty
What
relative.
Jose
but anyway,
Abreu was 40th in the league with 90 RBIs.
yeah,
Think of that.
he's a solid player.
He's
Still,
old, but
he is.
I think he's past his prime. He's not hitting good now. I would take Nate Lowe over him. Second base. Let's see what
The best
your buddy
he could do there is a
Altuve.
wash.
So Altuve this year hit 311, 17 home runs, 50 RBIs. So
And he missed half the year.
Simeon drove in 50 more RBIs.
Half a year for Altuve. Remember he broke his hand in WBC?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Then Bregman, what do you think he did this year?
He probably ended up around 260, probably near 100 runs, knocked in
260, 25, 98.
Right. See, Bregman's a lot better than you thought, isn't he? And he's a good fielder.
Yeah, but Young played 50 less games and had the same stats, just about. Power-wise.
Bregman, hey, the thing you're forgetting in all this, been there, done that.
Bochy hasn't?
Bochy ain't on the field. He makes a difference. But let me ask you this.
Got a huge cranium, and
Houston's so good. They've won World Series with 2 different managers. They made the playoffs. What the championship series?
7 years
8
in a
years in a row?
7, I believe.
So, okay, there you
Looking
go.
at Jeremy Pena this year, this guy you think is a superstar, 263, 10 home runs, 50 RBIs. There's no effing
No,
question he's
correct,
better.
correct. But did he not come up big in the clutch last year? He
Don't
won
think
an
he's going to
MVP
come big in the
last year.
clutch this year. Robert Griffin came up in the clutch in 2012. Did he ever again in his life?
He didn't come
No.
up in clutch in the playoffs. But anyway,
Jordan Alvarez. I give him that one. They got a
yeah,
better outfield. I definitely say they got a better outfield. Alvarez, McCormick, and Tucker.
yeah.
Alvarez to
And they
me,
got Brantley to come off in DH, and Brantley's like a lifetime 299 hitter.
Jordan Alvarez to me is a super. I 31 home
He's
runs,
a big
293,
dude.
97 RBIs, and he only played
I
114 games.
I hope I like both of those teams.
I don't know how
I
you like the
probably
Astros.
I well I've been to their stadium, seen them play. One of my sons
I've
likes
been to
them.
Miami Stadium, but I ain't gonna ever pull for the Marlins.
I wish the Marlins would do good, but anyway,
You've been to Yankee Stadium where you pull for the Yankees ever?
no, no. I mean, I don't. I really don't mind it. There's only let's be honest. There's only one team in sports that I hate, and that's in football. And you know what? Anybody make a comment. Who do you think I hate in football? And just
Sometimes you
and,
probably hate the Commanders.
well, yeah, yeah.
I
I
hate
was
it.
born.
You probably
Wait,
hate Ron
this is a
Rivera.
clue. This will be a tip of who I don't hate. But anyway,
Yeah. Well, we can
I
wrap
think
it up here.
Houston's going to win
We're rambling now, but the ALCS starts tomorrow. When's the NLCS start? The next day, probably.
next day. They're both series played Monday.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about it. I think the Rangers in 6. I'm saying Rangers in
I think
6, and I think
Houston is
Phillies in.
6 or 7.
I think Phillies in 5 at the maybe
Yeah,
4,
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Yeah,
I
I
think it's
think it's
going to
gonna
be
be Rangers and
Phillies and
Phillies in the
Houston.
playoffs, and then I
Phillies and
think
Houston. That's
no.
why.
If it's that, Houston will win. If it's the Rangers, I think Rangers will win.
But I think Houston probably will lose to the Phillies. That's my prediction. Phillies and
If
Houston.
it's Houston and Phillies, yes. If it's Rangers and Phillies, I think Rangers will win.
You know, it's just like I was looking at Strider. He's got only 20 game winner, but his ERA was damn near 4. The
He
reason
just
he
strikes
gets
out
the
a lot,
wins
guys.
because their offense is first or second best offense in baseball. They pound the hell
I
out of the
think they're
ball.
the best. Like they hit the most home runs ever, like 300 home runs, didn't they?
Yeah, and Olson hit the most home runs. The team that had Hank Aaron, the most home runs ever in a season there.
Hank Aaron just hit 40 home runs 20 years in a row.
Every year, yeah. Yeah, and he's a 300 hitter or damn close. Hank,
Hank's a good player. I will never say anything about him. I do
I'm
want to
gonna
say
tell you
one
how
thing.
old I am. I'll tell you how old I am. When he broke the home run record, I was watching.
Yeah, well,
That's
I
how
was
old I
watching
am.
when Barry broke that record. So
Okay, I've seen Willie Mays play in person. That's how old I am. But anyway,
I, I guess for me, Cal's probably the oldest player that I've ever seen
no,
because
I
he
love
played
Cal.
forever. Or no, what's that? What's that old guy, Julio Franco? I've seen him play. He started in like 1965.
Yeah, he's probably a rookie when I was a baby.
I do want to say one thing as well before we go, and this is going to be the last thing because we're at a half hour. I don't want to go over that.
Yeah,
Um, Brooks Robinson died, and I think that's one of the greatest defensive third baseman in baseball history.
and you've
And
never heard anybody say anything bad about him as a person.
he's yeah, everything he said. That's where this channel gets its namesake from, in a sense. So, uh,
And hey, one was quick thing. I seen an interview with Billy Bob Thornton, and it was this whole story. But the last thing he said when he got to finally meet Brooks Robinson, because Billy Bob Thornton is from Arkansas, as was Brooks from Little Rock, and he said Brooks said, "Oh man, I like your movies now." And he said I was so excited he knew who I was,
yeah,
you know. But that's the kind of man he was. Everybody bowed at his feet, but yet he was humble enough to know something about the other person. Everybody loved Brooks Robinson. He was a great announcer on TV too for the Orioles.
it's like I said, it's a shame what happened, but he lived a good life, and he'll go down as
Greatest defensive third baseman in history of baseball.
people will never forget about him because, like I said, he's the greatest third baseman in baseball history, defensively at least.
More
And
All
so,
Star, strict consecutive Gold Gloves, more All Star appearances than somebody broke at some.
you'd have to say he's one of the greatest Orioles of all time. I'd say top 3, probably, wouldn't you?
Yep, Eddie, Cal, him,
Cal,
Jim
Jim, and him.
Palmer, and then manager Earl Weaver, the
Yep.
Earl of Baltimore.
I'm looking on eBay right here. I'm probably going to buy this. There's a 1975 Brooks Robinson card on sale. I might buy that.
I used to have all his cards at one time, but that's another story. All right, man.
1958. Okay. All righty, everybody. This has been an episode back on time for us. We're gonna be back. We're gonna have 2 episodes this week, Monday and Tuesday, pre-recorded, of course. We don't know what's gonna happen else. Yes, tomorrow we might know
I
a
can
little
tell you
bit.
what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you what's gonna
I'm a
happen.
prophet. Well, that's all for now, folks. We'll see you next time on Brooks Knows Baseball.
Vaya con Dios, mi
Good
amigos.
night, John Boy. Good to be back. I'm glad you had a chance to see me. Bye.